All right, friends, welcome to today's live. Exciting news going on in the streets with strategy and with Bitcoin and new Bitcoin treasuries we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to talk about why the Bitcoin price is not yet at $150,000, according to Saylor and what he says. So we're going to jump into that and we're going to break down what's happening with strategy as always. So excited to be here. This is not financial advice, not tax advice, not legal advice. Do your own research. This is just educational content here today. So let's rock and roll and let's jump into the news for the day and what is actually happening in the streets. So number one, very exciting. Strategy adds another $1.4 billion in Bitcoin purchases in terms of dollars for an exact 13,390 additional Bitcoin. We now have word on the U.S.-China trade deal. So it looks like the tariffs have come down big time. You know, they were as high as 145% and approximately 125% with America and the U.S. And now it's going to be 30%. U.S. taxes with China, and then China taxes the U.S. only 10%. So I think this accomplishes what Trump has been trying to accomplish, which is very simply evening the trade deficit. And they had their meeting in Switzerland, and it looks like it went well. And the markets like this, and the S&P 500 index is up over 2% as a result of the news. And ultimately, this is very good news because it's calming down. And we have a little bit of certainty coming into the marketplace right now. So that is outstanding news. How do you feel about it? You guys feel good that tariffs are de-escalating a little bit? Put it in the chat box. Let me know your feelings on this right now, okay? Now, another Bitcoin treasury company comes to the game. It's like it's stacking up, and this is like the game now. ETFs, Bitcoin treasuries, like the flows are coming in, the floodgates are opening so we can turbocharge and skyrocket. Bitcoin treasury company adds $710 million. David Bailey is at the helm of this, with Nakamoto Holding Company merging with Kindly MD. So we got a merger going on, similar to how CEP did their merger as well. Little bit of a different function of these companies, obviously, but same concept. Bitcoin treasuries, Bitcoin treasuries, Bitcoin treasuries. They are popping up. It is becoming the in vogue thing where traditional finance is kind of merging with this whole new Bitcoin and crypto world, and we are creating a new world. So I'm excited about this. Okay, Saylor says Bitcoin should already be at $150,000. All right, that's what he's saying. And he broke it down on a podcast recently that he did with Natalie Brunell. So the question is, why isn't it there yet? He talks about the short answer being rotation, which I'll get into in just a moment. It's not about rejection, it's about rotation. And he thinks that Bitcoin is getting set up for a monster move. And on Coin Stories with Natalie Brunell, what he basically said is Bitcoin isn't at 150,000 because the weak hands are dumping right now. And when you look at the weak hands, it's the holders that are not long-term holders. So you got people out there like lawyers and trustees and bankruptcy courts and government entities. And these are people who inherited Bitcoin. They got them. They're forced to hold it for a couple of years. And now that the prices are nearing 100K, or they've broken 100K now, they are selling, and they're selling fast. And that is your selling pressure in the marketplace right now, according to Saylor. That's what's holding us back. But here's the kicker and the good news. Saylor says a new class of investors is stepping in. And of course, we are witnessing this before our eyes. We have the ETFs. The inflows have been coming in. The floodgates are open. BlackRock is crushing it with their ETF. We have the corporate treasuries. I mean, it's like what corporate treasury is going to spring up next, right? I just told you the one that sprung up. Which one's going to come next? We've got institutions, of course, that are aping in and getting in the game as well. And as Saylor says, it's a changing of the guard. So it's rotating from these other companies that are holding it short term. They inherited the Bitcoin. They don't really want it. They're selling it fast at 100K. And now it's coming into the right hands of the people who want to hold it long term. So here is how it plays out. The short term flippers, they leave. The long term whales, they enter the game. Saylor believes we are entering a new bullish wave because of these new holders, and they are buying. Okay, there's lots of buying through the ETFs. There's buying that's taking place through the corporate debt. And most importantly, the more long-term, the right holders, it's in the right hands of the new guard. They are holding their Bitcoin. They're buying it and they're holding their Bitcoin. So as we know, Saylor keeps hitting it. He keeps buying. He keeps buying. He keeps buying. If you watched him talk recently, Bitcoin is still a deal, as he's saying. You can get Bitcoin for 0.2, right? Which is 0.2 of $1 million, $200,000. So he thinks anything below $200,000 is a deal. That's what Saylor says. So we know the race before was like buy it before it hits 100,000. Now it's like anything below $200,000 is a deal. Of course, with his perspective that in 20 years we're gonna have a $13 million Bitcoin. Of course, it's a deal right now if you think about it. And Saylor sticks to his philosophy: every Bitcoin not bought right now will cost you $13 million in the future. If Bitcoin hits 13 million, then it's true. If it doesn't, it's not true, but we will see. So we're seeing this happening, and there's a guy by the name of Ki Yong Ju. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, apologies. He is an on-chain analyst. He's with Crypto Quant, and he says that this creates a negative 2.23% annual deflation rate in Bitcoin, with everything that's happening on chain now, with all these new buyers rotating into the game, and the corporate treasuries of these companies are buying up. They're buying up Bitcoin, the ETF inflows, all of this. So it's not like the actual halving creates the effect, but this is kind of like a synthetic halving because of all the pressure coming in to buy. And so the rate is being accelerated, which is super cool. But here's where it gets even cooler. We've got Saylor thinks that about 13,000 institutions already hold strategy stock. So that's big. 13,000 institutions hold strategy stock. So this shows that there's big demand in the marketplace for strategy, and people are starting to catch on. And the more and more we get this institutional adoption, the more and more we get these Bitcoin treasuries popping up. I mean, people are starting to take notice. This is becoming the in vogue thing, and it's getting attention, and strategy is getting a ton of attention. And the cool thing is, I was watching on this podcast the other day, I think it was with True North, I'm not sure exactly, but one of the guys on the podcast was saying something. He said, hey, it's really cool because as you have these Bitcoin treasury companies coming in, essentially in another business model, it would be competition. If you have Apple competing with this company and this company competing with this company in a traditional finance world, they're competitors. And in this world, there's an element of competition, but when the competitor wins, everybody wins because the competitor is buying Bitcoin. So when MicroStrategy is giving away their playbook on how to implement these Bitcoin treasuries, they're doing it because they know the more competition they get, the better it is for strategy and the better it is for Bitcoin, and their stock goes up and people win. And that's pretty damn cool. So I love it. It's the game where everybody wins, and that's a good game to play. So very cool and interesting news happening there. So why are we seeing the speed up of what's happening in the marketplace and the attention that's being grabbed? Of course, people want to get into Bitcoin to protect against inflation. You've got fiat erosion that's taking place in the marketplace. We know this isn't going to stop. Last 100 years, the money supply has increased by 6.5% the other day. I was talking to my stepfather last night. We got him into Bitcoin in 2020, and he's like 82. And I was talking to him about, he's like, should I sell my Bitcoin now and go on a trip? I'm like, no, do not sell your Bitcoin. And I was sharing with him, he wanted to sell his Bitcoin. And I was like, sell some of your other investments, right? Not financial advice to anybody here, not giving advice, but my stepfather, I can help him out, right? And I was like, listen, like on this particular situation, I'm like, let your Bitcoin ride. And when you look at the money supply right now, and you look at the printing of money, and it's going up by 6.5% on average a year over the next 100 years, probably, it's been the last 100 years like this, then you have to earn 6.5% in your investments just to get ahead, because of the money supply is weakening the value of the dollar and weakening the value of your investments. It's just that simple, right? So Saylor's advice is good advice, I believe. And in a separate interview, he talked about Bitcoin hitting $13 million, not 150,000, not 200,000 in the future. He predicts Bitcoin approximately $13 million. Now that's a bullish case scenario, but when you do the math, Bitcoin needs to do about 29, 30% a year to get there. So the roadmap for this to happen, he lays out the roadmap. Number one is the institutional rotation that's taking place. Number two, corporate treasury adoption, which we keep seeing happening over and over again. Number three, you have ETFs, and the inflows are happening with the ETFs stronger and stronger than ever. And then you have the shrinking supply. So those are the four ways that he gets to his $13 million Bitcoin. So the biggest headwind, he thinks, this is Saylor, and biggest headwind, he says, is macro pressure from the tariffs. And we just got the good news on the tariffs. So China and the US are coming to negotiations and have come to a trade negotiation. And of course, the economic uncertainty that's going on right now. But that's really, in the short term, that's kind of the uncertainty. But all of this is good for Bitcoin in the long term per Saylor. So while the price has been sitting around 104,000 and dropped to about 102,000 today, strategy was up at around 425 pre-opening. It's dropped down to 406 or 407, what it's at right now. But Saylor continues to be bullish, as he should. And analysts are also saying that strategy, based on their Q2 quarter two earnings that are coming out at the end of Q2, they should qualify for the S&P 500. And then the votes will come later in the year. So I expect sometime this year that strategy will be voted into the S&P 500. And then you'll just have an automated freaking purchasing of strategy through the S&P 500 indexes, which will be more inflows into the stock strategy. So massive capital inflows. People are going to be forced to buy strategy, which is kind of cool. People who own the S&P 500, who probably don't even know what strategy is, they will literally be forced buying it, and they won't even know they're buying it. And that's pretty interesting, right? When you look at people who move to the S&P 500 because they're maybe newer investors, they don't know about Bitcoin, they don't know about strategy, and they're like, I'm in the S&P 500, and now they'll be owning strategy when that happens. If that happens, but there's a high degree of likelihood that it will happen based on the pace of Bitcoin going up, and their earnings are going to continue to crush it. So that's freaking good news today as well. Lots of good news in the marketplace, huh? We're waiting for the liftoff, right? Who's ready for like the liftoff? I'm ready for a new all-time high, man. I'm ready like now this week, all right? I'm ready. So that's good, and that's the basic gist of what's happening in the marketplace today. Strategy's strong. Bitcoin's in a strong place right now. Things are changing in the economy, and that's good news in terms of more certainty coming in the economy, and all around it looks bullish. So what are your predictions for Bitcoin in 2025? What do you guys think? I want to hear from you. What do you think is going to hit? Of course, this is not financial advice. This is just an educational, fun guessing game only. But what do you think it's going to hit? Any ideas of what we're going to hit? Play a game. Somebody throw it in. Holding strong, 268 shares of MSTR, says Paul. Amazing. Who else? Anybody else got a game for your predictions on Bitcoin? Well, I hope it's exciting. You can write down on a piece of paper so we don't have to show anybody and just think of what it is for you. But in recap of today's show, things that I talked about. Number one, Saylor thinks that we are not at $150,000 Bitcoin right now because you have certain companies, institutions, organizations, like, you've got lawyers, you got trustees, you got bankruptcy attorneys, and who are running the game on some of this stuff, and they're inheriting Bitcoin in certain situations. And now that it's hit $100,000, they're selling off this Bitcoin. So they weren't really long-term holders to begin with. They kind of just inherited this money and came to them, and now they need to do something with it, and they're selling it off. And he thinks it's creating the selling pressure. So that's number one, why he thinks we're not at 150,000. Number two, we've got good news with the tariffs, and the China and the US have come to an agreement. And so now the tariff wars are de-escalating. They're coming down. We're coming to reasonable agreements. And that looks very, very strong too, based on the agreements that were made. Number three, more and more institutions are buying into strategy. Saylor thinks 13,000 different types of institutions have bought in already. And that's exciting news, and it's bullish for strategy. And as we know, we have another Bitcoin treasury that just popped up that is in the game, and more Bitcoin treasuries are coming to the game. And the ETFs continue to buy, and that continues to create inflows. So watch it. You're going to have the Bitcoin treasuries that are going to move the price. You're going to have ETFs that are going to move the price. You're going to have institutional adoption moving the price. And of course, the supply shock is here. So that's the show today. I hope it serves you guys. Paul's calling his shot at 200,000 Bitcoin down below. Mike says, I heard a YouTube guy say he thinks we could get a 1280 MSTR in July. That's a bold prediction for sure. And who knows how the price is going to move. I'm just bullish over 2025 and potentially we might roll into 2026 because of the delay that we had with the whole tariff uncertainty for 2 months. And so, we're going to run strong. I think we'll run strong to the end of the year and we'll hit our peaks around then. Not financial advice. You got to do your own research and decide what your plan is. Most importantly, have a plan. If you're going to exit and take some profits, definitely have a plan. And I hope it serves you guys. All right. Have a great, phenomenal rest of the day and stay bullish and stay safe and have fun. All right. See you guys soon. See you on the next stream.